I never planned on burying 3 rows of tire-shredding deterrents under the dirt road that cuts across my farm. But when a self-important HOA officer kept barreling her $90,000 SUV through my land like she owned it, ignoring every warning I posted, that road became the line I refused to let anyone cross anymore. And when her Escalade finally died on my property, 4 tires, shredded rims grinding into the dirt, it wasn't revenge. It was the end result of a battle she created, pushed and escalated until there was nowhere left for her to run. My name is Nate Lyman. I'm 45, and for most of my adult life, all I ever wanted was quiet, honest, earned quiet. 80 acres of Nebraska soil gave me that. Mornings that smelled like rain evenings where the only thing I heard was cows shifting in the pasture and no HOA in sight. That last part mattered more than I realized. No committees telling me what color my mailbox should be. No board meetings about lawn height. Just me, my cattle, and the wind. But peace never lasts long when someone decides the rules don't apply to them. The first time she appeared, it was a Saturday morning in May. Crisp air dew sitting on the grass like glass beads. I heard the engine before I saw it, loud and impatient, like it was offended the world didn't flatten itself out for its convenience. Then a white SUV crested the rise and came slicing straight through my corn rows, as if the field was just a decorative rug. Mud flew up in perfect arcs. I stood there with my coffee too stunned to even swear. And then the driver waved like she was tossing beads from a parade float. That was my introduction to Karen Whitfield, Vice President of the Creekview Bluffs HOA and self-appointed Queen of Shortcuts. 2 days later, she did it again. Same path, same speed, same arrogance. This time I waved her down, did my best to stay polite. "Ma'am, this is private property. You can't keep driving through here." She rolled her window halfway, wearing sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly feed bill. And with this casual, condescending smile, she said, "Relax. There's a community easement. Been here since the 70s. Everyone knows that." "Not on my deed," I answered. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Then maybe you bought the wrong land." And just like before, she drove around me like I was an inconvenient mailbox. I checked with my lawyer Priya because that's what my dad taught me. Never start a fight without facts. Priya pulled every record, every map, every dusty file from the county. No easement, no shared access, nothing. Meaning every tire track through my cornfield was trespassing, plain and simple. But if you think facts matter to someone like her, you're new to the world of Karens. By the 3rd time, I started documenting everything. Dates, angles, photos of ruts carved through the soil. I put up signs, big ones, reflective ones that screamed private road. She ignored them all. My neighbor Hank saw her once and just shook his head. "She's the kind who thinks the world's a cul-de-sac," he said. He was right. What threw me off wasn't her entitlement. It was the way she acted like my irritation, a perfectly reasonable human reaction, was the real inconvenience in the situation. When I sent her a polite certified cease and desist letter, she signed for it, then tossed the envelope out her window into my field the next morning. I watched it flutter across the dirt like confetti after a party I never agreed to host. That's when something inside me cracked. Not anger, at least not the loud kind. This was the quiet type, the kind that sits in your chest like a stone. I told myself I'd stay calm. I'd go through the proper channels. But day after day, her SUV tore through my land, roaring past my barn so close the windows rattled. She'd honk twice in the evenings like some twisted little victory lap. And the damage grew, not just ruts in the dirt, but frightened cattle, stressed cows, one calf limping from being spooked too many times. One morning I found Daisy, my most nervous pregnant cow, trembling by the fence, sweating and pacing. And that's when I realized this wasn't just irritating anymore, it was affecting my livelihood. I called the sheriff's office and met Deputy Elena Ruiz, one of the few around here who actually listens before talking. She walked the property, reviewed every detail, and then she said what I'd been dreading. "Technically, it's civil unless I catch her in the act. I'll talk to her, but keep documenting." So that's what I did. Cameras, timestamps, footage of her slowing just to hit one of my signs with a metal rod. And the more I documented, the more the exhaustion set in. Every morning I woke up with that sinking feeling, wondering if she'd show up, wondering what she'd destroy next. There was a night I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by papers, photos, videos, timestamps, and felt completely defeated. I asked myself if I was overreacting, if I should just let it go, if silence was easier than fighting someone who never learned the word no. For the first time since I bought that farm, I felt like maybe I wasn't strong enough for it. Maybe I wasn't cut out for conflict. Maybe she really could do whatever she wanted. But my dad had a saying, "You can be angry without being stupid." And that kept circling in my head until something in me steadied. I didn't need to fight loud. I needed to fight smart. Priya, my lawyer, mentioned a legal deterrent, not a trap. Not some wild internet fantasy where you blow someone's tires off in vengeance. A real officially recognized vehicle disabling device used by law enforcement, non-lethal, documented, inspected, and posted with clear warnings. If I used them, she said, I needed to be transparent, notify the sheriff, document everything, give Karen every possible chance to stop. So that's exactly what I did. I bought the equipment through a licensed vendor, logged the serial numbers, filed emails, notified Deputy Ruiz in writing. She came out to inspect the signs and set up herself, clipboard in hand, calm and thorough. Her final words to me were simple. Do it by the book, Nate, if she ignores the warnings that's on her. By then I wasn't angry. I was just tired of being dismissed, mocked, and run over literally and figuratively. The night before it happened, I barely slept. I sat watching the camera feeds, checking angles, checking timestamps, memorizing how the road curved under the sunrise. Then Monday morning arrived, 7:14 a.m. Her white SUV appeared on camera, gliding over the hill like it always did, the sun flashing off those stupid gold sunglasses. She passed the first warning sign, the second, the third, never slowed down, never even tapped the brakes. Then pop, pop. Her front tires went instantly flat. The SUV lurched nose down, but she kept rolling, probably thinking she hit a rock or two. Then the rear tires followed, pop, pop. Now the car was grinding on its rims, throwing sparks, dragging itself forward like a wounded animal. She made it maybe another 20 yards before the car shuddered to a dead stop in the middle of my road. I exhaled, not in triumph, just relief. Relief that the madness might finally end. When she climbed out, she looked like someone had slapped her with reality for the first time in her life. She circled the SUV, kicking at the ruined tires, screaming into her phone. I couldn't make out every word, but I heard enough, how it was all my fault, how she was calling her lawyer, how I'd tried to kill her. I called the sheriff's office, calm, steady, factual. Trespasser on my property. Vehicle disabled by posted deterrents. No injuries. When I walked out to meet her, she spun toward me like a wildcat. "What the hell did you do to my car?" I kept my voice level. "I warned you, Karen. Multiple signs, certified letters, sheriff inspections. You ignored every one." "You tried to kill me," she shouted back. "This is illegal. You're going to jail." I held up my phone. Everything is recorded. Everything is posted. Everything is documented. Then she made the classic Karen move. She started filming and narrating a version of reality that existed only in her head. "I'm being held hostage by a violent man," she said. But when I calmly restated the facts on camera, her face flickered because the truth didn't match the performance she wanted to sell. The moment Deputy Ruiz arrived, the whole tone shifted. Karen ran toward her like a child tattling on a sibling. He set traps. "This is public property." Ruiz let her ramble, then turned to me. I handed over the evidence folder I'd prepared, signed letters, timestamps, camera stills. The sheriff's own inspection report. Ruiz flipped through it, nodding. Then she looked at Karen. "Do you have documentation proving an easement?" Karen opened and closed her mouth like a fish. My husband. My lawyer." "No easement, no access," Ruiz said plainly. "You're trespassing. You're receiving a citation." Her face drained. "You can't be serious." But Ruiz was. And when the tow truck hauled her mangled SUV away, her credit card declining twice before finally going through, she looked small, smaller than I'd ever seen her. I thought it was over. I was wrong. 2 days later, I received a thick envelope from her attorney demanding $42,000 for vehicle damages and emotional distress. I laughed once out of pure disbelief. But Priya, my lawyer, didn't laugh. She grinned. They just handed us everything we need. We filed a counterclaim, organized, meticulous, blisteringly factual. Every crop destroyed, every rutted row, every vet bill, every sheriff's note. It was all there. Then the real twist dropped. Turns out Karen had been paying her lawyer with HOA funds, tens of thousands of dollars siphoned from the community budget. The assistant treasurer, Patricia, discovered everything. And the HOA board, furious and humiliated, held an emergency meeting. Within a week, both Karen and her husband were stripped of their positions and placed under investigation for fraud. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Life was doing the heavy lifting. By the time we reached the courthouse for her hearing, Karen was a different person. Tired, pale, deflated. No sunglasses, no jewelry, no arrogance. She pled guilty to trespass and property destruction. She received probation, a stay-away order, and was barred from holding HOA office for 5 years. And when the judge asked if I wanted to speak, I simply said no. The evidence speaks for itself. I walked out of the courthouse into crisp spring air and realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Done with the chaos. Done with the noise. Done with someone treating my land like a shortcut. There's no celebration at the end of a story like this. No fireworks. No cheers, just a quiet road, clear signs, and a lesson I learned the hard way. Some people don't stop until the world itself tells them no. And sometimes the quietest fight, the one fought with patience, proof, and persistence, is the one that finally wins. Respect the line or life will draw it for you.